Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the movie Godzilla Minus One on Netflix. And I actually really enjoyed this movie. I do now see why everybody was saying such good things about this. And I am glad that I was able to watch it. Now, I was going to plan to watch it on, like, 4K or whatnot, because these ones are always kind of tricky to find ones that are in theaters or whatnot that are close enough to see. Though granted, at the time it was in a theater close enough, I just wasn't able to catch it. But I am glad that I watched this, and I'm glad that Netflix was able to get it. So, before I even really get into it, I would definitely recommend this because this one is one that is able to balance the human aspect and the giant kind of kaiju aspect very well. And it's really kind of interesting because I'm also doing my review today of Godzilla X Kong, and the thing is, these are two very different ones. The one, Godzilla X Kong, is more monster action, the fighting. It really doesn't go into the implications of Godzilla and everything for, like, nuclear weapons, the horrors of war, all that kind of stuff. Godzilla Minus One does that, and it does it very well. This is a hard kind of subject matter, and this one, of course, details of what's going on in World War II. And the thing is, Godzilla is inextricably linked to World War II, and I think that this worked very well for this movie. The action that goes on, the CGI, the characters, the acting, it all works very well. Now, granted, I watched it dubbed, but I think it would be just as good in subbed. It's mainly down to your personal preference. Now, that's to what I see. I haven't looked into any kind of differences between the sub and the dub because there are things that happen sometimes where sometimes the sub is the better experience, sometimes the dub is the better experience. But usually it's down to kind of personal preference. But I would definitely recommend this for the character, the plot, and the action as well, because the action serves its purposes. So, let's dive into the actual story. So, we're starting, it's pretty much the tail end of the war, 1945. We're at the island of Odo, and we pretty much are following Koichi Shikishima. He's pretty much stopped. He is a kamikaze pilot. He made this stop off, was able to land in this, like, beat-up airstrip, and the kind of lead tech dude, Tachibana, is there and is, like, looking it over. He's like, there's nothing wrong with this craft. And the thing is, Koichi didn't want to do it. He wanted to live. Now, granted, there's a lot of different kind of aspects to this. I do like them exploring the kamikaze and everything like that. I did a philosophy paper in college on this and examining it more kind of fully, but I do like that there's, like, there's a lot of different kind of cultural things going on in Japanese culture with kamikaze, especially as kind of what was going on in World War II. And we see that they're trying to kind of, like, understand what's kind of going on with this. But, of course, they get into the night, we see that Godzilla pops up. Now, this is not the Godzilla that we are used to. This is a kind of more stooped, gnarly kind of looking Godzilla. And the thing is, we then get Koichi into another kind of call to action for acting upon what's going on. Tachibana wants him to get into his plane and utilize the guns to take out Godzilla. However, Koichi's like, is this even gonna, like, work on him? But the thing is, he goes there, he gets into it, and he's got a chance to do it, but he doesn't shoot Godzilla. He freezes up again. Now, I don't blame him for freezing up as a kamikaze pilot. That, even if you're ordered to do that kind of stuff, fuck that. That's my kind of thing. However, there's the duty and the honor and the whole kind of aspect of what kind of goes on. Doing it for your country, your emperor, your leaders. It's a whole other kind of ball game with that, especially also with how suicide, seppuku, kamikaze is treated there. There are various different kind of aspects. It's like, okay, I do like them going into this a little bit more, because after this one we see him we see that the rest of the kind of technicians start firing with their rifles at Godzilla, and the thing is, Tachibana blames Koichi for not firing because everything goes to hell. Godzilla destroys the plane. We see everybody except for Tachibana and Koichi are killed, and Tachibana blames him, gives him at a certain point his dead men's family photos as a reminder. And the thing is, to a certain degree, I understand his anger at Koichi. However, his men decided to fire upon a giant creature with just infantry rifles. I understand being scared of something, but if you can't fight some fucking thing, just fucking hide shit. Because we'd seen that Koichi was looking at the ocean, and we see deep sea fish popping up, and that's a sign of Godzilla popping up. We see that throughout the movie. But we see that he gets back. We find that his parents are dead. His one neighbor lost her children and blames him for not committing kamikaze, and that everybody else would have been alive if he'd done that. It's like, Jesus Christ. Because World War, there's a lot of crazy ass shit that went on in World War II, and it really fucked up a lot of different kind of people, and the civilian population a lot as well. It's like, holy shit. But we see that he's going around trying to rebuild his life. He gets introduced to Noriko and Akiko, because she's going around, running around with this baby, and then she kind of leaves it with Koichi. He's like, why the fuck is it? He had an option to pretty much leave the baby, but then he's like, no, I'm going to take it with me. And then meets back up with Noriko, and they pretty much take the time to figure out themselves. He learns that Noriko and Akiko are not related. She is not the mother to the kid. Because of the bombing and everything that was going on in Japan by the Allied forces, that the mother was pretty much dying and asked Noriko to take care of her child. So then we pretty much see everything kind of going on. Them pretty much rolling up their lives together. Koichi becoming a minesweeper with this captain dude and this doctor dude. So they would go out, they would cut up and bring up mines to the surface, and then shoot them with this giant gun and pretty much blow them up to get them out of the water. It's very dangerous work. They have to use wooden boats, because if they were metal, they would attach to them and blow them up. So it's kind of crazy. And the thing is, Koichi has tremendous survivor's guilt. He doesn't feel like he should be alive. He's doing this kind of dangerous work to support his family, but also he kind of wants to die, but kind of doesn't want to die. I really connected with Koichi because I totally get understanding that mindset of having this kind of failure and surviving something that is kind of nuts and crazy, and granted, and not understanding if you should be alive or not. Now granted, I have not been in a situation where I've survived anything within the realms of what he has, but I can connect empathetically with what he's been going through, of holy fucking shit, I totally understand questioning your worth, questioning if you should have survived and what's going on. We also see that Noriko gets a job in Ginza. Ginza? Yeah, Ginza. But we see things kind of going a little bit nutty. Over the course of pretty much 2 years, we see in 1946 that the U.S. has been doing their nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll, and this, of course, brings Godzilla mutated and doing everything kind of else, going and attacking other kind of ships. We see that Koichi sees these kind of things, like, holy shit. And of course, due to the Soviet Union tensions with the U.S., they have to kind of watch out. They can't send help to Japan, and they send decommissioned Japanese naval vessels from Douglas MacArthur to that, but they're keeping the danger from the public. It's like, holy fucking shit. I do like what this movie has to say about poor military leadership and keeping things from the public. Now, I understand not wanting to cause mass general panic and shit like that, but not telling... there has to be some kind of middle ground between run for your lives, it's fucking Godzilla, and not telling them, and then we got this one crazy dude, and is not, run, it's fucking Godzilla. You know what I mean? There are ways that you can do these kind of things, because I like that at the end, as we're kind of getting into what's going on with Godzilla, that everybody comes together and works together to solve a problem, which is what the core basis of like a society and a government should be. Though they're operating outside of this and are like, we do this shit our own way, and it's like, yeah, you're doing what you should be doing. So we're now into 1947. Let's see, and the Minesweeper crew is tasked with stalling Godzilla. Let's get these wooden boats to kind of do this shit. And that goes kind of gnarly. They really get fucked up, and this other destroyer gets destroyed by Godzilla. The effects on it are amazing. We start seeing Godzilla utilizing... I really like his power-up sequence of his dorsal fins popping up as the blue gets up there. Him utilizing his atomic blast, which, when it hits something, has the same effect as a nuclear explosion. Like a nuclear bomb. It's like, wow. Holy fucking shit. And I hand it to the effects people. They did a very, very good job here. And just setting it up and actually going through and doing crazy ass shit. So, they're trying to stall him. It's not really working very well. This heavy cruiser Toho pretty much enrages Godzilla, and he just fucking takes its ass out. And of course, he starts bringing this up to Noriko. She's trying to help him as much as possible, but sometimes you just need to be there to support people. Like, you can try and help them kind of work it out, but sometimes they have to work it out themselves. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. Because if they can't reconcile those certain kind of things, there's not much you can do. But we see that then Godzilla pops up and attacks Ginza, and of course, she kind of narrowly survives. Narrowly. She is pretty much in this kind of crazy ass train sequence, and she luckily survives what's kind of going on before we see that Koichi kind of pops up. And we also see that him and Noriko have not gotten married, because there's this little kind of thing with the Minesweeper captain, Greenhorn, and the doctor, and no, and we even see that Akiko calls him daddy, but he's like, I'm not your dad. But we see that he comes to Ginza to try and rescue Noriko, but Godzilla is going and crashing and smashing everything, and then he unleashes a atomic blast. The thing is, Noriko pushes him into an alleyway, and she gets fucking thrown. Like, the explosion happens, and then of course the vacuum that happens as well, and then gets thrown, and he doesn't see her. It's like, oh god, holy shit, she's dead. And of course that's what he's kind of trying to do and everything, and they're trying to figure out how to combat Godzilla and what's kind of going on. So Koichi pretty much helps with the doctor. The doctor's like, I'm with the task force. We're going to try our best to try and neutralize Godzilla. We would really like your help, Koichi, on this. And he pretty much decides to pretty much give Akiko to the neighbor lady that lost her children for a little bit, and she kind of helps out, but he eventually does this because he kind of goes into this kind of kamikaze mindset again, but to actually kind of follow through with it, because we see that their whole thing is because he wants revenge on this. He wants to stop Godzilla and everything that's kind of going on. So we get the doctor pretty much to have a plan. They want to take Godzilla to Sagami Bay, surround it with Freon gas, and cause it to sink. So pretty much get it really down to the bottom. Hopefully that kills him. However, if that doesn't, they come up with another plan that there would also be inflatable rafts that would bring him up, pretty much really decompress him to hopefully that would kill him. Koichi isn't really into that kind of mindset. He decides to also do a kind of bomb thing, because while they were fighting, stalling Godzilla, they pretty much put mines in his mouth and were able to blow it up, and it injured him, but he was able to fucking heal horrendously fast. Like, I was like, oh shit, that's kind of nutty and gnarly. Then, great effects team, yes. So they also decide to find this kind of experimental plane. It was actually pretty interesting. It had the propeller in the back, and Koichi pretty much said all these kind of like shitty ass letters to Tachibana to get him to make it airworthy. He's like, all right, fine, and we see that he does it. But as it gets revealed, we see that he also puts in a bomb and an ejector seat and tells Koichi to live, which is actually kind of cool. So we then pretty much get to everybody kind of working together. I did like how this kind of Navy dude captain was able to talk to everybody. He said, listen, this isn't the government. We're not drafting you for this. If you want to leave, leave. And we do get some people leaving, but others are like, all right, let's do this. Let's work together. Let's put ourselves together and get this done. And that's really kind of cool. So we see that Koichi pretty much is instrumental in getting Godzilla into the bay and kind of being that kind of asshole gnat that kind of drives him there. And then we get the whole plane going into motion as the ships surround him, put the Freon on him, sink him down. But of course, it's not kind of working. We see that the rafts kind of inflate, but it screws up to a point where they're not really able to bring up enough. This had left the greenhorn behind, but then he came back with some tugboats. Is like, fuck you guys, I'm going to be useful here too. I did like his character as well, because he's like, oh, I wish I could have been in the war and everything, and the captain and Koichi are like, shut the fuck up, dude. And the thing is, he wanted to be useful and help. That's a very different kind of thing. And here he was useful, and he did help. And we get everybody working together. They pull Godzilla up. We see Koichi utilizing the plane and slams into Godzilla. We see that Godzilla is fucked up and gets kind of icy and everything. And Koichi drives the plane into his mouth. And at first you're like, oh shit, he's dead. But we see that he was able to eject because of the reveals. And then we see Godzilla pretty much destroyed. But we see a mutating kind of thing in the bay. So it's like, ah, shit, what the fuck's kind of going on here? And the thing is, Koichi had a time limit because Godzilla was getting ready to utilize his heat beam again and everything. But he gets home, and we see that Sumiko gives him this telegram that was delivered, and we find out that Noriko is alive. And it's like, alright, yay! However, we see that she has this kind of dark bruise thing, which the director of the movie has said are G cells. And it's like, ah, shit. That's not good. And that's, of course, at the end where Godzilla's flesh is, like, regenerating. So, I really liked this movie. That's where the main story ends. I liked how they explored the various kind of aspects of a kamikaze pilot. One from Koichi's experience, Tachibana, Sumiko, all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad that it didn't kind of take over completely. It was a main aspect, and then this utilization of, we have this terrible situation that everybody's kind of responsible for. How do we deal with this? And I think that's usually the greatest kind of strength when a Godzilla movie is able to do that. And I just think this did a very good job of selling that, of showing everybody coming together, figuring out a plan, and executing that plan even when things were going wrong, and how they're able to improvise and change up tactics to see and make sure that they're able to deal with the threat of Godzilla. Now, I can understand how certain people might not be pleased with how easy they took out Godzilla, but I think it was a pretty hard kind of plan to execute. And then the thing is, Godzilla can't ever truly be defeated unless we defeat those kind of aspects of ourselves that led to Godzilla's creation. The understanding that we don't control nature, that when we mess with forces that we don't understand, we have to be ready for the consequences, i.e. Godzilla being a part of the natural world, and then utilizing nuclear weaponry wantonly, and not understanding the effects before creating an almost unstoppable monster. Well, that is unstoppable, because we stopped it only for a time before it can regenerate and potentially spread other kind of things as well, with the G cells and everything. It worked well, and I liked getting into Koichi's head, his understanding, him questioning if he is even actually alive, and if he was actually killed by Godzilla, and that this is the nightmare of a dying man. And I'm like, I understand that take. That it really kind of hit hard. I'm like, when certain things in your life go completely and utterly wrong, and you're questioning if you're real, if reality is real, if you're in hell, if you can't get out of it, kind of thing. They fucking sell it. Okay? Like, I didn't think it was over dramatic or just thrown in willy-nilly. Now, granted, that's just me. If you feel differently, I get that. If it didn't work for you and the characters were just annoying people and you wanted to see Godzilla smash some shit, I understand that. Go for Godzilla X Kong. Godzilla smashing shit. Kong smashing shit. Yeah. There are also other Godzilla movies that kind of work within that realm as well. But this one worked better in focusing on the aspects of Godzilla's carnage having more kind of meaning and being more kind of purposeful, as Godzilla's just going around doing whatever it kind of wants because it's like a force of nature, thinking of itself and its territory and all that. And just seeing this carnage and everything going on, I think they did a really good job with the CGI. It's very interesting to kind of compare and contrast the CGIs of like Godzilla X Kong and this one, and the thing is, it's like they're doing completely different things with completely different objectives. You could say, oh, this Godzilla's effects are terrible compared to Godzilla X Kong, and I'm like, yeah, but the thing is, they need to focus on certain kind of aspects for Godzilla's carnage in this one versus that being the main kind of aspect in the Godzilla X Kong movie. I enjoyed this one more, even though they're kind of different. You know what I mean? Like, I still got pretty good enjoyment out of that one, but this one I liked for its deeper story, its diving into the depths of the characters and linking them up with what's going on with Godzilla and what it kind of works with. This is a great quintessential Godzilla movie of what Godzilla started as. Not saying that any kind of the other ones of the kind of great kaiju fighting things that go on with Godzilla don't work, but this one's a good one. And I love Godzilla's roars, the usual kind of roar, the utilization of the old school theme and everything of him dun 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 and all that kind of stuff. It just worked on every level for me. At some point I'm going to have to get this one on 4K Blu-ray and any kind of physical kind of media. I do have to collect the other Godzilla movies as well because they deserve it. But this one really deserves it to me. I really was happy, and I mean, here's the thing. I had expectations with people saying, yeah, this is a good Godzilla movie. I'm like, alright, cool. And then I'm like, wow, this is a really good, great Godzilla movie. Not that I didn't believe them, but lately you have to watch out with your expectations. Sometimes you've got expectations set at a certain kind of level, and then you're like, ah, shit, fuck, this didn't meet them. That's like, you see this kind of ice cream or something, and somebody's like really into it, and you're like, I don't know if it's that good. But then you get it, and you kind of sit there, and you could like scream or whatnot, but you're just like, wow, this is really fucking good. That was this for me. And I'm like, yes. So I definitely recommend this for people that are fans of Godzilla, fans of these kinds of movies, examining these kinds of topics, character, plot, world building, action. I think this has it all. And yeah. Now, if you're not into scary stuff, it's not really gory or gruesome. Scary stuff. Do your best judgment. So, those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.